welcome to Under the Hood. I guys for all of the any technical difficulties. Had a little equipment change. With that being said, it is our special 20th episode. So we're dedicating it to you, the fans, and we love when you guys ask questions. So you're gonna do it again. You're gonna ask some more questions. We're gonna answer some questions. Gonna see who we have out there in the audience. Yeah, Mr. Purple is here already. Diamond
Purple.
Sword, our good friend Diamond Sword. Diamond Sword, we always have a good time.
Yes.
And yeah, we'll see who else we get to tonight. I'm Eli Karp today. Have Rock the Barn, if the computer's going to show him. Gannon, Julia, who has not been on in a while but is back. Sventano is also taking a hiatus and is wearing an ugly jersey. All right, so we're going to start taking questions, but just before that, you can start rolling them in. Anyone want to start talking about anything yesterday? Anyone have any point of interest besides that the Cowboys are on their longest winning streak in their franchise history? Giants have won 5 straight. Julia.
The Jets couldn't lose yesterday, in case anyone noticed. The Jets have decided, it released today that the Jets have decided to go with Ryan Fitzpatrick as their starter for Sunday's game against the New England Patriots. And I couldn't say I am very pissed off about it. I don't see why he can't start Bryce Petty. I know that Fitzpatrick is a veteran in the locker room, but he has been playing quite poorly, to put it at least. And I don't see why he can't start Bryce Petty. He showed some glimmers of brilliance last week when he played. And I don't see what's the point. The season's already lost. Why can't you just see what he's got against the New England Patriots? I mean, their defense isn't all that great anyway. So I don't see why you can't start him.
It's a point of contention, I have to say. Todd Bowles reports saying that he's hesitant to name Petty the starter because he feels he's going to lose the locker room for the rest of the season.
He's already lost the locker room at 3-7.
They've been in some games though. Diamond Sword typing in yes. Yes and no. The Giants did win, but no, they did not have an amazing game for a while. It was one of the more sluggish efforts I've seen from them this season, and that's coming from a sluggish team in general. So they came out absolutely. The defense thought it was going to be a cakewalk versus Jay Cutler and a really absolutely maligned offensive line. No Alshon Jeffrey. And honestly, Jay Cutler shredded them in the first half. He looked like the quarterback the Bears paid him to be for the first half. Then the Giants defense came alive in the second half. They found their momentum. They did not give up 1 point in the second half. And eventually it was another beautiful Landon Collins easy interception, which sealed it. So that was nice. I wouldn't call it an amazing game. It's a little bit worrying, but hey, they're winning. Julia?
I just had I heard an interesting fact this morning on WFAN. Yesterday was the first time in 18 games that the New York Giants did not commit a turnover.
That's very interesting for everyone to say, Eli Manning and Jay Cutler, they've turned it over, combined over like 350 times in the last 10 years, I think. They combined for that. And everyone's like, oh, it's going to be a turnover city tomorrow in MetLife. And you look, there was one turnover, and that was on for all intents and purposes, the last play of the game. So as sluggish as it may have been, it was a pretty cleanly played game. And that was, Giants have won playing sloppy ball. They not like it was great today or yesterday, but they didn't turn the ball over, and that was huge. They needed every point they got. Sventano, do you want to hop in?
About the Giants?
No, about another team.
Another team? Ooh. Cowboys are having an all right year, so I'll go Miami, who are officially one game out of the wild card spot because the Chiefs lost. I don't know how that happened because they were a field goal away from losing to Cleveland. I think it was week 4. So apparently they've just turned it around and won all these close games. And can't say they're a contender, but I can't say they're like the Bengals or something, who their season's just done. They lost Green for a while and Bernard. I don't know what happened to him.
I think the departure of a few defensive presences, as well as Marvin Jones and Mohamed Sanu, really killed them. And, I mean, it's unfortunate because they're a really solid football team. They do still have talent. And, for all the years that Marvin Lewis was progressing with this team, all they need to do is win a playoff game, and they get absolutely smacked in the face this year, and they're going nowhere. Diamond Sword, what do you think about the Broncos being a wild card? Well, at the moment, they are in a wild card spot. They're, I think, tied with – they're 7-3, I believe. So, depending on what the Raiders do tonight, they could – well, either way, they're going to be in second place because the Raiders have the head-to-head. But I think the Broncos are going to end up being a wild card. I think Oakland will stay steady enough to win the division. What do I think about them being a wild card? I mean, they have a defense that travels. And they have for all their talk about Gary Kubiak runs the ball, is their offensive line really good? I don't know. Diamond Sword, be quick to correct me, but I don't think it's that good. And it's kind of just it's a very mediocre offense. But I'm not really sure. Anyone else? Thoughts on the Broncos, where they're going? It's actually a question. Do any of you think that Tony Romo is going to end up in a Bronco uniform come next September? Julia.
No, I don't think he should be in a Bronco uniform. I think he should be in a Jets uniform. And if the Jets don't do everything in their power to get him, then they're idiots, and their entire organization should be blown up.
Wait.
A New Yorker saying that Tony Romo should definitely come here.
Yes. I'm a Jets fan. I'm not.
You want Tony Romo. Am I hearing
if you're a Jets fan, you would rather have Ryan Fitzpatrick starting. You'd rather have they're not even trying to start Bryce Petty, so he's not going to be ready for next year. And Christian Hackenberg, who was surely a great second-round pick, hasn't gotten any playing time this year, and who knows what he does on the practice field. So, yes, I'd rather have Tony Romo here because he's a professional. And we've all known from Ryan Fitzpatrick that he can't do anything. So, yes, sorry. I'd rather have a professional on my team.
A professional 4-game rental, to be fair.
Gannon?
More wins than we have this season.
That's fair.
I got to get my thoughts out before Danimal steals them from me here in the comments. Romo should not be in a Jets uniform or a Broncos uniform or a Cowboys uniform. He should be in 0 uniforms unless it's a hospital uniform because he is going to be broken and dead by age 60 if he continues playing. The guy's had so many injuries to his back and to his collarbone. He's not going to be able to pick his arm up over his shoulder, let alone walk down the hallway later in his life if he doesn't just retire right now. He should not be in any uniform whatsoever.
I agree with Gannon. There's some great quarterbacks coming out of the draft this year, and the way the Jets are looking, they're primed to have a good draft picks, and they can definitely get a good quarterback out of the draft.
They just drafted.
I'm Ron Bart. I have to disagree with you there, Ron. I don't think that this upcoming draft class happens to have very many good quarterbacks. I mean, the number one quarterback prospect right now is Mitch Trubisky, the quarterback from North Carolina. And, I mean, I'm sure he's fine, but frankly, I just don't think there is the talent that there has been. And I think this year, the Browns are going to be hacking. The Browns are going to be hacking away any chance they have to get a quarterback. But I don't think this is the year that you're going to get the franchise player.
The Jets don't know.
I think the Browns should wait. Browns should wait until the year after.
Even if the Jets don't get a quarterback, though, they can definitely get a good offensive player.
That's what they need.
Step into the shoes of a Jets fan, such as Julia. Or I guess I'll just ask Julia this one. Would you rather have your quarterback be Tony Romo, coming off of yet another season-ending injury, or a draft pick such as Deshaun Watson, Deshaun Kaiser, or maybe Mitch Trubisky, who has been talented for North Carolina? You have talented players there. Who would you rather have?
Well, considering the Jets just drafted a quarterback and we're not going to see him for a really long time, I'd rather have Tony Romo because he's all ready to go. Because the Jets don't know how to develop quarterbacks. So if there's one already out there that's developed, then I'd rather have him.
Jets were able to develop Mark Sanchez for 2 years.
Oh my God. You saw how well that turned out. They had 4. Okay, that's not their fault because, well, technically it is their fault because they hired 4 offensive coordinators in his time here. So that they screwed him over with that. But he was also riding a great defense.
Romo only has probably like 1 or maybe 2, if he's still alive in 2018, years left in his career. So why would I just don't understand as a fan of the game, I don't understand how you could possibly want a quarterback that's only going to be there for 2 games. Ask, Spentano right over here how Romo's injury-prone style comes to play.
It's because
Julia, I'll let you finish in a second. We have a couple questions coming in. First one, Terrell Pryor. He's set to be a free agent after the season. What teams do you think could use the services based on his impressive performance this season? Julie, do you think it's wise for the Jets to even go after him? I think they have Marshall. Decker will be back. It's really the quarterback play. But what team does anyone think has a real need for Terrell Pryor that can make a run? Spentana?
Gannon's going to like this, but I'm going to say the Vikings because they have some solid receivers. Diggs is a good receiver. Not all he's hyped up to be, but he's good. And I think he could be a really nice number 2 option to Diggs because right now they have Adam Thielen, I think is his name. And
Adam Thielen is better than you guys think. Did you guys see his catch yesterday?
I did. I think that Laquan Treadwell should also see the field before they give Terrell Pryor a run.
I'm not arguing that. Yeah, I would agree with that.
All right. Question about Dallas. So, Spentano, we may be coming back. Does Prescott have what it takes to lead his team to the Super Bowl? Would it be wise to replace him with Romo now that he's active again? I think we kind of all probably have the same view on this, and that is stick with the hot hand, keep it with Dak. Anyone object?
Well, Romo will be starting week 17 when they're resting all the starters. But besides that, Dak's going to be.
But again, if they're blowing a team out or if it's week 17 and it doesn't matter, and what happens if he happens to come in and he plays amazing? He throws 2 bombs. It creates this whole unnecessary, dynamic that, fine, Dak's been playing great, but look what Tony's doing. Oh, he's pretty good too. I almost think it's unnecessary.
That's called.
But they
I
have
would
to remember
almost
that
start
it's
Mark Sanchez 17 over Tony Romo, just so that doesn't happen.
Do you remember who was the quarterback for Matt Flynn? Week 17, they sat Rodgers and then he threw for 6 touchdowns and got a huge contract. That's all it would do. They'd stick with Dak. There's no way.
All right.
And it's in Philly, which Matt Ryan had a tough week. Ben Roethlisberger had a tough they scored 3 points I think in there. So I don't think he would do well in Philly. They're really good at home.
I think Philly is darn good at home. They may not be able to play on the road, and Carson Wentz may have his struggles on the road, just as a rookie and a developing quarterback. But they have comfort at home. It raises questions. Assuming that the Giants win on Sunday, they're 8-3. Where are they getting those 2? They need, in my mind, they need to be 10-6 to get the wild card to make sure. But where are they going to get those 2 wins? I believe they can beat Detroit. It's going to be at home. They can beat Detroit. Detroit and the Giants are pretty similar in that, no little running game, good quarterback. I think the Giants have a better defense, though. They both, play tight games.
By far.
And so you could give them maybe the 9th win. Where are they getting the 10th? They need to either beat the Steelers, the Cowboys. The Steelers are away. Cowboys are at home. And then the Eagles or the Redskins on the road. None of those games are easy.
Yeah, but still, you can win 1 out of 4. It's not like they're going to lose all 4. They've been a formidable team.
It's true.
I hope.
I don't think they're going to win them all, but obviously at Philly is really tough. At Washington is pretty tough too. Just all division matchups are just tough because they can go either way in the NFC this season.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot is probably going to revolve around, how the other teams do. Because I mean, I'm seeing 10-6, and that should be enough to get him in. I think we can all agree that 10-6 should be good enough. But who knows? What if Philly happens to really stumble upon tough times, and Washington does as well, and maybe there's only really, I mean, right now it's the NFC East that is absolutely owning the playoff picture, but maybe it's the Giants and maybe someone else who kind of creeping up, but maybe who knows? There's a lot of football left to be played.
That
So,
tie.
it's unfortunate the season's getting to the end, but there's plenty left to be played.
I think those ties are actually going to be huge factors, though, because Washington, like, right now they could get, or no, they did beat Minnesota, but say, like, just the Lions, a team they haven't played yet, or no, they played the Lions. They lost to the Lions. But since they have the tie, they would get in over them. And same with the Seahawks, they could get the 1 seed over the Cowboys because of that tie. You just never know. And
A
I'm
couple more questions.
personally, but
Couple more questions going in. Mr. Purple, what are your predictions for the Ohio State versus Michigan game this weekend? The game. Julia, is that you?
Yeah, I think Ohio State's going to win. I just think that, I don't know, it's at home for them, and I don't see how, like, being behind that crowd and everything, it's just, I think they're going to win. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be an exciting game, but I think Ohio State's going to come out on top.
Rock the barn.
Yeah, I agree with Julia. I think if Michigan's starting quarterback is he going to play this week?
I don't know. I mean,
if he doesn't play, they're definitely not going to win.
They dressed him last week, but I think the kind of speculation is they may just dress him to dress him.
You saw, if anyone watched the game, Jim Harbaugh did not have any trust in, I think his name was Orko. All the plays were pretty much run plays. And I don't know his name, but they were all run plays, and there was only a couple pass plays. And when there were pass plays, he was rushed out of the pocket immediately and did not do well overall. And they just didn't have like a good offense going against Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana's not that great of a team either. So I agree.
IU.
IU, gotta love IU. Any advice for Zach Miller owners? I actually started Zach Miller in our league yesterday, still lost, even though he had a monster first half, 3 catches, 61 yards, and actually a really nice Jay Cutler TD. So, he would have been really nice going forward because Alshon Jeffrey's out, and he's really the number one option. People say Cameron Meredith, he's fine.
Wait, isn't he out for the season?
He is now out for the season. I'm saying he would have been really good going forward because Zach Miller broke his foot yesterday and he's now out for the season. Anyone advice for Zach Miller owners? Tight ends to look at? I mean, I guess you got to look at CJ. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Fedorowicz on the Texans.
I mean, he's not going to explode, but he can get you some points.
I mean, hey, look at this. Even though, call me a homer, Will Tye has been very inconsistent, but at the same time, the Giants have made it clear that they do not want Larry Donnell to see the field. And so with that, Jarrell Adams has gotten a little bit more work, but Eli Manning likes to go. Will Tye is, 6'6", maybe 3 or 6'6", either way, 245. He is a big body, and, the Giants like to get the ball to him. So if you're really desperate, I wouldn't mind going for Will Tye. Now, of course, if you're Jake Ostern, don't drop a kicker for Will Tye. But I still think Will Tye is a worthy option. Are we on the Sanchez scooter? Well, we're not in the Keenum cart. We're definitely not on the Sanchez scooter. Yes, Diamond Sword, the Cowboys are 9-1. The Bengals are done. Yeah, we have a couple. Eric Ebron. He's definitely a viable option if he's available.
I don't think he's going to be available.
Has been lately. I mean, Matthew Stafford likes to spread the ball around, whether it's Riddick is back or Anquan Bolden, even Marvin Jones, Golden Tate. So Ebron's there. He's definitely there. He's got potential. It's just that they don't like to feed one guy in that offense. Anyone else with tight end suggestions? Roman Love, Clive Walford coming into the season.
Am I allowed to throw some praise towards Kyle Rudolph?
Kyle Rudolph is a touchdown or bust. That's all I'll say. Touchdown or bust. But yes, he's worth worth the risk.
He's going to give you points.
Trade for Witten.
Jason? Vance McDonald, good one, Mr. Purple. No, the Bengals will not make the playoffs. All right. Anyone else? Tight end suggestions? Or we're going to keep going with these questions as they roll on in. Rock the Barn, is that you?
Yes. If anyone picked up Greg Olsen like I did in the draft, I would try trade him for a different tight end. This is like completely serious right now because he's no longer Cam Newton's number one receiver. He didn't get a lot of points in Thursday's game against New Orleans. Cam Newton is definitely looking more towards his wide receivers, Ginn and Calvin Benjamin. So I would trade Greg Olsen because there are definitely people in league who would definitely take Greg Olsen. I probably could trade Greg Olsen right now to Kenny for somebody.
Martellus Bennett? Kenny wouldn't give Martellus Bennett up. But, Bennett's a good option. Carolina's offense is just awful this year. I read something a couple days ago that said, was that 1 year just a fluke from Cam? Is he really, an MVP caliber guy and a top 5 quarterback, or was that an absolute anomaly where no one saw him coming? I mean, the offensive line has been trash this year. It was good last year. Part of the reason they consistently run the ball. Julia?
Well, I think also you have to look at they lost a huge piece in Josh Norman. Their defense has been considerably worse since they let him go, and that losing him was a huge mistake, letting him go to the Redskins like that. And I think you also have to understand for the first part of that season last year, they had a pretty easy schedule. And I know they made it all the way to the Super Bowl, but having those easy teams at the beginning of the year to allow them to get the ball rolling was obviously very helpful. And while I do think that Cam Newton is a top-tier quarterback, this season just isn't going their way, and I think losing Josh Norman was a big part of it. Why?
And their next 2 games are pretty difficult, too, against Oakland and Seattle.
Yeah, those are probably two losses coming. And Smithson, I'll get to you in just a second. You talked about the defense, but honestly, like the last couple of games where they're 2-1 in their last 3, the front 7 has found pressure, and the defense has been solid. It's not the liability as it was, say, earlier in the season, but they just absolutely can't offense. It's almost painful to watch. I mean, they'll hit a big play every now and again, but the offensive line is getting bullied around. Cam Newton seems to be on different pages than his receivers, and you saw they had like 1st and goal given by a gifted penalty by the Saints, and they went they were at maybe the 3, and they went back 15 yards. They had like a holding and then a sack, and it was just absolutely disastrous.
And no Luke Kuechly.
Adding insult to injury, literally and figuratively.
Adding injury to insult.
Yes, there you go. Question: is the Patriots not having Gronk going to hurt them going forward because the tight end is a large part of the offense?
Where's Kenny?
You think Benny can step up? Benny, Roman, we are short of Bostoners. We are void of Bostoners tonight, which is an anomaly. So, I mean, Bennett is fully capable of handling duties on his own, but at the same time, they're going to lose, that threat of having 2 really elite big-body tight ends that can manhandle a defense. Anyone else?
Can I answer Mr. Purple's question?
Yes.
Start the Vikings defense, Mr. Purple.
Purple Rain.
Wait, were you guys getting in the chat? How do you get that?
It is,
I just went to Eli's page, and I went to the actual video.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
All right. How will the Cowboys do against the Redskins? Will they finally lose? When do they?
No.
Oh, this is Thanksgiving. I mean, honestly, this is going to be a fantastic game. It's unfortunate that the night game, Colts versus Steelers, which had lost a little bit of luster, but regained it with 2 5-5 teams that are fighting for each other. We just learned that Andrew Luck has a concussion, and Scott freaking Tolzien is going to be starting for Indy. So
no, it's a questionable concussion. I kind of
I read that Scott Tolzien was expected to start.
I don't have trust.
I don't think Andrew Luck is going to be ready to go.
I don't have trust in Andy Dalton for my fantasy team now. It's just not good Because
Trade me somebody. Give me DeAndre Hopkins, and I'll send you Russell Wilson.
Theo Riddick. All right. Yeah, so that kind of lost its luster, but man, that Redskins-Cowboys game, uber important. I mean, both teams are about as hot as you can get. The Redskins manhandled for at least the last quarter the Packers, who are in absolute free fall. And I don't know, I kind of got sidetracked by seeing that there's something called the Danimal Dirt Bike, so I apologize for that. But that was pretty amusing. So yeah,
I overlooked that Vikings-Lions game. We got the two other good games that night, but
it's going to be
lead.
It is
Where
going
is
to be
it?
a fantastic week.
It's in
a
Detroit.
Day of football. It is in Detroit, as tradition holds, and then in Dallas, and then I mean, both all important games. I hope that none of them are blowout. I mean, they're having amazing games sometimes, but man, the last one I can think of was what was it? The butt fumble.
Why? Why? Who doesn't bring that up anymore? It's dead. It's gone. We
How
don't
can you even say that's a good game? The Jets scored like 6 points.
I didn't say it was a good game. I said like the last really blowout I can think of was the butt fumble game.
We don't really need to talk about that point.
Last year or 2 years ago, the Eagles destroyed the Cowboys. Mark Sanchez went off.
Well,
Yeah.
it was also great when RG3 dismantled the Cowboys a few years ago.
Last Thanksgiving, the Cowboys lost to the Panthers by like 30 points.
Oh, then it was 2 years. It was 2 years ago then.
Also, Eli,
Yes.
I think this is where you see Zeke's first 200-yard rushing game, because I just have no faith in that Redskins defense, and I think Kirk Cousins is going to be moving the ball a lot against the Cowboys defense, because I don't have any faith in the Cowboys defense either. I'm not going to lie, but I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game, and I think you're going to see Zeke a lot.
I no longer have any trust for anybody predicting what the score is going to be in a game after watching Troy Aikman say at least a dozen times before the Vikings-Cardinals game that this is going to be a baseball score and it's going to be under 10 points for both teams, and then the final score is 30-24.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Oh, Julia, do you have a new account?
No, I don't know what that's from, actually.
It's the Julia Sports Rant.
Yeah, don't ask what that is because I don't know.
But, it's interesting. Zeke has seemed to do everything but have a 200-yard game. Obviously, it's very rare to have a 200-yard game. But, I feel like both the Cowboys and the Redskins defense are not given enough credit. I think they're both better than the sum of their parts. And, it could be a shootout. It could be a shootout, but it seems just like the defenses are able to rise to the occasion when needed. I mean, look at the Cowboys. Obviously, they play the Steelers at home. The Steelers are going to put up points. But I think Dallas's defense, if you look at the numbers, is pretty good. And I'm not here advocating that the Washington defense is amazing, but I think they're also a little bit better than people realize. Who is going to be the next breakout player this season? Well, I have to say we are a little like approaching 3/4 way through the season. Browns versus 49ers, who would win? Well, a lot of people. You have to think about this. Where is it being played? In such an even matchup like that, I mean, I think the Niners would probably win. I think the Niners would win. Well, who's Houston? Because that was good. I'm realizing that now. Was that
the question before the breakout season, I really hope it's DeAndre Hopkins because he has not played up to his potential.
I wouldn't call it a breakout. I call it a
restart. A restart. I'll call it a restart.
Maybe Brock, returning the $72 million that he stole from Bob McNair.
Maybe Bill Belichick coming back to the Jets.
Oh my God! Don't even bring that up. Please. On the Jets for about 5 minutes.
You have Rashard Matthews. We're getting in at small. Yep. I think he went for I don't know how many catches, but he went for 122 yards yesterday. Even with Marcus, with the Texans the Titans only putting up 17 yesterday. Rashard Matthews and Mariota have found a pretty good connection, probably as his number 2 behind Delaney Walker. I'd have to say, Spantano.
I didn't actually realize how good of a coach Belichick was. I mean, he has 8 rings, 4 with the Giants and 4 with the Patriots.
No.
Do you get it? Oh God, no.
I get it. I sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
I don't get it.
because he
Yes.
actually had 2 with the Giants, and then I'm saying he gave 2.
Oh, gotcha.
So funny. So funny.
They're in the moment, all right.
Happy says Sterling Shepard's the next breakout. Well, I mean, he kind of has broken out. Oh, Svantano, I want to hear your take on this. The little feud now going on between Sterling Shepard and Ezekiel Elliott with the Dem Boys.
We know who the real boys are.
You're right, boys with the Z.
Yeah.
That is just classy. I mean, there are only certain things that I can state on air with, opinions. I'm going to leave it off. But boys with the Z, I don't know, implies something.
Brilliant.
Fishy.
Brilliant.
Come on, we got to keep the questions rolling in here. This is tonight for the fans. Spout your questions. Doesn't have to be NFL. Can be CFB.
No.
Could be
CFB.
NHL. Could
Why are you
be.
moving so much?
The comments we get are they're very entertaining. Kind of as wide a range as an audience as we did last week, but still getting plenty of good questions. Do apologize.
I have
once
something
again.
to bring up.
Yes, Rock Barn.
Last week I said it was early for the New York Knicks, and I'm going to stick by that. The Knicks are starting to play better, and I see them going places now.
Kristaps.
If I may just interject, Diamond Sword, sometimes I think that you're like just either a few hours to a week late on things that we say, like on the last episode. And yes, Thomas Kennedy, I did see Barkov's goal last night. I was actually listening on the time. Rangers they're already down 2-0 in Pittsburgh. They had this kind of thing exactly the same time last year. They were 16-3-2 going into Thanksgiving. Then they got absolutely trounced by the Canadians, and then their downfall started. They're now 13-5-1, and they're got to get it together. I'm just hoping it's not a repetition. So we'll see. But that was a very interesting goal. Henrik Lundqvist has not been amazing. Rock the Barn. How are the Islanders doing?
They suck.
Yeah, they're really bad. And the whole way they're just playing is not good. There's no chemistry between pretty much anybody. Halak looks god-awful. I mean, I've said it and agreed with people who said it for like the last 3 years. Jack Capuano is not a good coach. He should not be on the Islanders bench.
Jack?
You're right. He should be back in the locker room doing you know what.
No. Jack needs to get his life in order because the players made him look good last year when we had Kyle Oposo and when the Islanders when they had Mac Martin and Franz Nielsen. I know Franz is getting older, but still those players were part of the identity that brought them to the second round of the playoffs. And now there's nobody to play with John Tavares. They have no one. Jack keeps switching the lines so that the players, like Dan said, they can't develop like chemistry and they're not able to play together and their 3 goalie, whatever it is, just isn't working. And Halak looks like just not who he was last year, and it's just pretty awful. And it's so hard to watch because they'll come back from 2-0 and then they'll lose in the last minute of the game or they'll lose in overtime, and they just don't have anything going for them. It's really awful. What? Okay. What?
So let me ask you a question, Julia. If Jack Capuano was able to, whether it's the players brought him or he brought the players to second round of playoffs, do you fault Garth Snow for giving him a much inferior roster, or is it Capuano's fault?
Well, the roster is a little bit of a problem just because there's nobody to play with Johnny Tavares. And also just the way he runs the roster is his own fault because right, Dan? He's not running the roster at all.
Thomas Kennedy, you're overstepping some lines.
Doug Waite runs literally everything. Capuano sets a lineup and then just pretty much throws Doug Waite out there trying to see if he can do something. There's literally, I mean, if you ever watched an Islanders timeout right before like the end of a game, Jack Capuano is standing there eating a piece of gum, looking at the scoreboard, while Doug Waite is drawing up plays with everyone around him, trying to think of something to do to score. And Jack Capuano is literally just standing there, doing nothing.
In other more important news, the Julia jet ski is a thing.
You know, it just seems a little, I don't know, suspicious.
Another thing about the Islanders is that ever since Halak complained this year about like him switching games, Grice has started like one game. And Grice had played well last year. He started the well decently, and they just haven't played him. It's time for a change, I think, for the Islanders. And as well with that, I've said it all along, getting rid of Matt Martin was the worst out of all of the free agents this year. The momentum he brings to the Islanders was insane. Double overtime against the Panthers in, I think it was game 2. He just brought this momentum. Like, he just didn't want to lose. He would hit people.
He was so good.
Right, like he had so much energy left, like it was the first minute of the first period.
All right, well, we're going to quit having our therapy session over the Islanders, and we're going to move on to our next question. College football playoff predictions. Let's just kind of go rapid fire here. Who's ready to send off their 4 teams? Gannon.
To me, it's obviously Bama. Nobody's going to beat them. To me, they're headed for yet another national championship, and I'm headed for another depression of a year, knowing that Roll Tide is going to be holding the CFP trophy again. Ohio State, I think they're going to beat Michigan. They're going to hold on to that second spot. Clemson is going to find their way in because, you know, Clemson, it's ratings. And then I think stealing that last spot just to represent the West Coast a little bit, I think Washington will find their way back in if they can beat Washington State this week. It's the Pac-12 championship. If they can win there, then I think it's theirs to lose.
Rocky Barn?
I've got Alabama, of course, at first. They're just so good. Second, I have Ohio State. I think they're going to beat Michigan. Third, I have Clemson because their schedule is not super hard to end the year. And fourth, I have Penn State. Their last game of the year is against the Michigan State Spartans. They've been playing really well. They've been in the top 10 for a while, and I think they have definitely a good chance to make that top 4.
Spantano?
I got pretty much the same. Well, I think Ohio State's going to win, but the winner of Ohio State, Michigan, obviously. And then Alabama, number 1, Clemson, and then Washington. That's who I have.
All right, Julia?
Yeah, I basically agree with the rest of them. I as much as I hate to see it, I think Alabama plays for another championship.
Yeah, you know, I'm not going to disagree with you a lot there, though I will say I have Alabama, Ohio State. You know, I think they're going to win, and they can't really get bounced, in my opinion. Clemson and Wisconsin. The Badgers are going to make the playoff. You watch it. They're getting in. And in case parity strikes, Washington is waiting. Maybe USC. Not USC. Maybe Penn State.
Wait.
Penn State, sorry.
And
I
yes,
just saw USC on a comment. And do you think USC will be able to win their game against Notre Dame? Yes, Notre Dame just is not good, and USC is probably one of the hottest teams in the nation, which kind of brings up a little bit of a debate. You know, does the committee take the best 3 teams overall on the year based on resume, or do they pick, you know, the best games towards the top of, you know, the ratings, where, you know, it would produce the best game for who would beat Alabama? And even though USC got their butts handed to them in week 1, they are probably playing some of the best football in the country. Rock the barn.
if you work for Texas football right now, do you fire the head coach?
He has been fired.
He has been?
Yes. I think they're going for Tom Herman.
Would you have fired him?
Yes, because this program has severely underachieved for one of the most historic programs with the most funding in the nation. And you just lost to Kansas. Let that sink in. This is Kansas, who gets less fans in their stands than my high school football team. That is my argument. Booby Bulger. Will Booby Dixon score a touchdown this year? But Thomas Kennedy, you are digging into your bag of chips way deep. Creds to you. You are getting very creative.
I'm
What about
hopping on
Happy
Hasselback
says,
hoverboard.
Happy says, what about Oklahoma? You know, I have beef with Oklahoma, and I discussed this with someone this weekend. Oklahoma has their 2 losses. You can call them good losses to Houston and to Ohio State. But one, they were not very competitive in either loss, and they have beat no one good besides a West Virginia team. No one else. They should not be in this conversation. It'd be nice to put them at 20 in the rankings. They should not be in the conversation at 9 or 8. I find that to be blasphemous.
Just bringing out the Stephen A. there.
The Stephen A. Smith.
I'm agree. I'm hopping on that Hasselback hoverboard.
The Romo Riverboat is my favorite so far.
You know, I think we're going to have to start naming each of our shows going forward besides just episode 21 and 22. Today, we are on the Romo Riverboat, and next week, we're going to be on the Eli Express train. And, you know, we may have to hire Thomas Kennedy part-time.
Dak Duckboat.
Oh.
The Dakota Express.
Yes.
Diamond Sword, this is a special episode because it is our 20th episode, and we decided we'd do something special.
We wanted the audience to run the show today.
Yes, and so far you guys have done a nice job of it. The helicopter? Who's the helicopter for? I do have to ask. Oh, the Ha Clinton Dix. Okay, you got to capitalize the second H. You got to capitalize the second H and maybe make a dash. Why are we on Booby Dixon? I don't get it. What's about this guy?
We were talking about the Burger Shop Ferguson.
Oh God, what goes on in the questions box? I don't even know. Other points we'd like to hit tonight before we take our last few questions. We gotta keep.
Oh, did we talk about the Brian McCann trade?
Sure, we can talk about the Brian McCann trade. I think that it was a no-lose situation for the Yankees because they have El Gary Sanchez waiting right there to take over. Well, then talk about the Broncos. Diamond Sword, we do talk about the Broncos. We talk about the Broncos when we talk about you. You know, Danimal was supposed to be on tonight. He just had a couple late conflicts, but he'll be on next week. Louis Dixon is a legend and a half. All right, Booby Dixon. I guess we're going to have to name an upcoming episode after Booby Dixon.
Please don't.
You know, last year in fantasy, I started Booby Dixon because I thought he was going to go off, and he had like 2 points. So I don't have any faith in the guy.
You know, I was 5-2 in our league, and all of a sudden I've gotten a couple bad breaks. I've played against good teams, and my team has been bad on top of that. And I'm now 5-6. I am in a downfall. If there is one thing that Gannon has done well for this league, I mean, the bench sucks. Our bench system sucks. He rigged the scheduling, but the only good thing he's done is that 2/3 of our league is making the playoffs.
I can't believe
rig the scheduling.
You clearly rigged the scheduling because you played Kenny when the Patriots were on a bye.
Random. I promise.
I can't believe I'm going to lose to Kenny this week. It really. I mean, I had to.
The bar. You have also reached rock bottom.
I have not. I'm going to be 6-5. There's a chance I can still win. If Lamar Miller goes off, DeAndre Hopkins and Amari Cooper have a great night tonight, I win.
I hear it's also a blue moon.
Over half the league is squeezing in.
Guys, I'm going to start hopping on that Dan Bailey blimp.
I don't even.
Western Michigan, Spentano, you like Western Michigan. Happy raise your
Western
question.
Michigan there.
Where do you think they should be? They're 21 last week. Tomorrow the new rankings come out. Where should they be?
They should be in the upper teens. Lower teens, excuse me.
13.
Somewhere between 10 and 15, for sure.
Bring on the Browns.
The Browns are going to win this week. I have faith.
No, they're not.
I was listening to the radio this morning.
It's not that the Browns will win, it's that the Giants will lose.
I I was listening to the radio this
If
morning,
RTP
and
plays this week.
the hosts were talking about how the Giants were just poised to like blow up and lose, and it'd probably be against the Browns. And I was just laughing.
May I just point out that Diamond Sword, out of nowhere, completely unrelated to anything.
I tell you, sometimes it's like he's like, I don't know if it's a machine that's behind the Diamond Sword handle, but I can't make up some of the things that he says. I mean, Tom Kennedy's getting in on the action by randomly saying Ben McAdoo. But also, a real question that came in was, for our baseball people, Gleyber Torres. I think he's a good young pitcher. Julie, am I right?
Hold on. What happened?
Gleyber Torres?
Gleyber Torres. I'm trying to think of who that is very quickly.
The McAdoo monorail.
Gleyber Torres.
God, we just find transportation systems for everyone that comes up on this show. We
Ben
might have to
McAdoo
read
bus.
the show.
It's the McAdoo monorail.
Yeah.
Giants.
This is a shortstop. My apologies. I'm a little off key with
Oh, now.
Julia, do you know
I'm
much about Gleyber Torres?
No, I can't. I'm not positive about who he is actually.
All right. Well, I'm sorry, Ryan. We're not able to answer your question, even if you give us more, information, because that will just be pointless at
But
this point.
Clayton Collier are happy. Thank you.
Happy.
The Ryan
Happy
Tannehill,
went above and beyond with the Clayton Collier cable car.
the Ryan Tannehill trolley.
The Tannehill
God.
trolley.
I still love the Keenum cart.
That was one of the more original ones. It got a rouse out of me. What can we come up with? Jared Goff. I'm trying to think of something with a G.
He didn't do that bad this week.
Yeah, but he didn't do that well either. Threw for 136 yards. No, didn't do it for me. We should rename it the Catano cable car.
Yes.
Katana.
All right, the golf cart. Wow, that's some inspiration. Maybe a little assonance. The golf gondola. There we go. There we go. The golf gondola. Oh, wow. This show has just gone downhill. Shout out Diamond Sword. We've given you about 8. I'm not sure what else you want.
Does anyone else agree, though? I brought it up a little late back in the show. New York Knicks on the rise.
Yeah, I wanted to say something about Mason Plumlee earlier.
Go
They
ahead.
brought Mason Plumlee. Mason Plumlee's on the New York Knicks D-League team, the Westchester Knicks in White Plains, and they decided to. Anyway, they decided to yesterday during their game. I forget who they were playing, but they decided to bring because Joakim Noah, he got sick, so they decided to call up. It's Mason, isn't it Mason Plumlee? I guess it's.
I don't think it's Mason.
No, it's the
Marshall.
Must have heard it wrong this morning, but they decided to call Marshall Plumlee. And what happened was he took a cab. The cab was stuck in traffic, so he ran out of the cab, got into another cab, to the subway, another cab, to the Garden. He got there late. He only played like 7 minutes, but apparently he did good. But the question was, why was he brought up to only play 7 minutes?
Because Joakim Noah's hurt.
He got sick, I heard, or illness or whatever. But
Yeah.
honestly, like Dan said, the Knicks haven't been playing all too badly. A lot. I mean, they've been playing a lot better than or many people originally thought. Their problem is defense. They can't play defense, and that's just something they need to work on, especially if their reserves can't play defense, which you can't have Derrick Rose playing for over 30 minutes a game. It's just not possible. You can't have that happen. So they just need to work on defense. And from what I heard this morning, is that Marshall Plumlee is actually very hardworking, and he could be part of the future of this team. So it's good. It was good to see him play, and then hopefully he'll get some more starting time to help.
Well, at home, the Knicks this year have not given up 100-point games, and most was, I think, 92 yesterday against the Hawks, who had the best record, I think, in the East. So they beat a good Hawks team at home, and they only have 1 loss at home this year, too. They're starting to really pick it up. Derrick Rose didn't play all that great, but Melo played really well, which was shocking to me against the Hawks. Brandon Jennings played well. Kristaps Porzingis is just playing phenomenal this year too.
Yeah,
Against
well, Porzingis looks, he looks like the real deal so far. I just think the Knicks, they're 6 and 7 now. It's going to be the lack of consistency that's going to be their Achilles heel.
I think they're 5 and 6.
If the Steelers fan base was a person, who would it be? The terrible towel train? That's pretty poor.
I was gonna say a person.
Oh, who? Diamond Sword?
No, I was gonna say Ryan Tarmy.
Except that he's a Giants fan.
Duck?
He is a Eli likes to throw up ducks. What can I say?
Gotta love the Oregon Tammies.
Oregon Tarmies. All right, come on. Keep the questions rolling in, or are we going to give it a couple more minutes and then sign off, or keep us entertained with these new modes of transportation? Don't diss on the diamond. Did Diamond Sword really just refer to himself as the diamond?
Who do you guys have winning tonight?
Raiders. But it's going to be really interesting how this Mexico City is at a higher elevation than.
Oh my god.
It's going to be at a higher elevation than Denver, or as
Stephen
Phil,
Janikowski?
or as Phil Sims likes to say, Denver.
Janikowski's kicking a 70-yarder tonight. Bold prediction.
Yeah, but Janikowski's been off lately.
But he still has a leg.
Diamond Sword says the Raiders will win emphatically, even though he's a Broncos fan.
I have trust that both offenses will go off, so I can beat Kenny.
You trust in
You trust in Brock Osweiler?
The diamond delivery truck.
No, I trust
The
that Brock
diamond
Osweiler
delivering
will give
disc.
a nice screen pass
They're
to
brilliant.
DeAndre Hopkins, and DeAndre Hopkins will run for a large gain. And when Brock Osweiler decides that he can't throw the ball anymore, he'll just give it to Lamar Miller, and he'll go off.
Who has a worse delivery, Phillip Rivers or Brock Osweiler?
Philip. Well, no.
Each of them throw like this.
Oh, did you see Colin Kaepernick yesterday? Oh my god.
In his kayak?
The Miller Mobile Home.
Weird.
The Miller mobile home. No, it's really not mobile because he hasn't moved lately. What NBA rookies are standing out?
Joel Embiid.
Well, he's not really a rookie, but he's trusting the process.
Uh,
Similar to Spentano. Glad you brought him up. Trusting
Brandon
that
Ingram
1 and
playing
8
really
process.
well with the Lakers.
Don't know
Brandon
what
Ingram and the
fancy-
Diamond.
So
Wow.
let's keep it to sports, please. And yes, Allie, you do
Guys,
get a shout out. Thank you for watching.
Who likes cheese? Asked Diamond Sword.
Hashtag the process. Oh,
Wait,
he's so
JK,
tolerant.
what?
We're finding out more about Diamond Sword by the minute than we have in history. Gannon, did you even know about this much about Diamond Sword?
I did not.
What NBA team is
Being
that?
the lactone tolerant.
The Packers
What was
are
that?
horrible.
What was that, Spence?
What NBA team is Diamond Sword a fan of?
The Warriors.
The
Oh,
Warriors.
And he's a Cubs fan.
and a Cubs fan. He's a Penguins fan.
Tennessee fan too. Alabama fan.
Diamond Sword is a legend. Oh, he's gotta go. He's gotta go watch his favorite team. Who on the panel smells the best? Well, that's a great question because our computers don't have. They're not scented. I mean, I think we're all human Febrezes.
I think Eli smells the best.
Okay. I don't know how I can refute it. Final questions, or we're going to sign off. Thank you all for watching. We've really appreciated the questions. Oh, things are getting personal. We may want to end this. This is. I feel like we're running this like a really bad radio show, to be honest. Kind of like. Julia, pick a really bad radio show in the area, like First and Last.
Boomer and Carton.
I thought you loved them.
No, that was. Oh no, that's someone else. No, I like listening to them, but they're interesting.
They are interesting, but I mean, Boomer's a meathead.
I don't know. Craig is.
Well, both of them are. You know what show you know who's a meathead? Phil Simms. Man, I mean, he talks about being a meathead all the time. You talk about him, and he's going to absolutely show you how to play the quarterback position.
Stephen A. Smith and what the other one?
You know, Skip Bayless's new show is doing really well. It's challenging First Take.
Mm.
I mean, it pains me. I feel like I'm listening to people who've never seen the outside world when I listen to Undisputed with him and he and Shannon Sharp.
Oh my god!
They're both very respected people, but I think they're losing some of it. Just because it's just so ridiculous, the things they say. It's more ridiculous than the things we say out here.
Yeah, it's just skipped
Or what
the
about that?
Cowboys and then Shannon being a Cowboys hater. That's all the show is.
Pretty much.
No, what about that show?
Julia? I think we lost you for a second.
Even First Take today, though, they had like.
I think she just
topics
froze like
all over
that.
the Cowboys.
Highly questionable. That show was weird.
That is a weird show. My fun fact, actually, my high school Spanish teacher was on that show over the summer. Because
Wait, it's funny that he's a Spanish teacher. Is he Poppy?
No, it was okay. It was there was the senior prank last year. The Spanish teacher, he's like one of the favorite teachers of the school. He's definitely afraid of snakes. And a girl that was a senior 2 years ago, I think her family owned like the zoo nearby, and so she brought a python to school and on his desk chair. And he walked into the classroom and he saw it and went, "Oh!" and broke out of the classroom. And it went viral. It had like over 300,000 views or something like that on World Star.
Well, you know what's going viral right now? This show. And before it starts taking a real downturn, because it clearly hasn't already, we're going to thank the fans and hope you enjoyed our special 20th episode. Have a happy Thanksgiving all. Enjoy the football. Go Giants. Blue Cowboys. We will see you next Monday. Good night.